Okay, so now we are in some caves and following typical Insomniac item hiding decisions. There's an item right behind where we begin the level. Well, this section of the level, I should say. It's always evil when they do that. Now, one thing I should point out is that, well, for starters, this verse is missable. You can literally just run straight past it, but I would recommend that you don't. Basically, there was initially a plan during this chapter to return to the station, and they did actually have a lavaed up kind of model, I think, of the station. And they were going to have like a climax scene in it, where you were going to be surfing on angels down the side of a moving train. But then that kind of went by the wayside, so the remaining thing that we have of that is the angel surfing sequence that you saw a little bit earlier on in the chapter. So I'm quite glad that that did remain, because that's an awesome sequence. Note on the topic of Magic 3. The magical arts of the Umbra, their true significance is the best understood in the context of how the Umbra were able to use this magic, via direct contact with demons in Inferno. It is thought that these witches underwent strict training in order to master the various techniques. However, the truth is coloured by the fact that witches left people awestruck and were greatly revered. The true root of their power was none other than their ability to take unbelievably strong demon energy and bend it to their will, using it freely. The witches' direct contact saw them reaching into the heart of Inferno's darkness and summoning the beasts that dwell there, drawing magic and destructive powers. The witches under contract with these demons were able to exercise powers far beyond any that could be obtained by mere mortals, to the extent that some may even term these powers as aggressive or brutal. It was thanks to these powers that the witches boasted such awesome force in battle. From the Vigridian religious perspective, those living in the human world find other realms to be incredibly difficult. Residents of Inferno also find it impossible to manifest themselves in the human world. This is why witches require some sort of catalyst to summon demons into the human world, channeling the spirit via this medium. The catalyst most often used by witches was their hair. It is well accepted that hair had many uses in the magical arts, and the witches called this use of their own hair the Wicked Weave. It was said to have been used not just to summon demons, but also to summon magical items, as well as forming the witches' uniforms. I would also like to touch briefly on the despair these women must have felt. To gain the incredible power afforded to them, they were forced to trade their souls to the demons of Inferno. Within the Trinity of Realities, it is believed that the deceased find their souls sent to heaven in an endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. However, witches were met with only a single possible fate, death, followed by endless torment in Inferno. Once one had set foot upon the path of the magical arts, there lay nothing but the harsh reality that there was no turning back. Despite this fact, it was a path designed by a never-ending stream of believers. How these women captured so many hearts, mind, and imaginations remains unknown. So, yeah, basically that is the reason that Bayonetta's hair is used as it is. It's basically the catalyst for her demon summoning powers. I do believe that there is more specific information as to why they wanted to have Bayonetta's hair being her method of attack and her costume in the art book, The Eyes of Bayonetta, which has been released in Japan and is at present, of this recording, planned for release in the West at some point. It keeps getting delayed, and it has been delayed for at least over a year at this point in time, which is rather irritating, but can't be helped. Basically, I have it pre-ordered, so I will be getting it when I get it. But annoyingly, it's taking a bit longer than I had expected to receive it. Now, we're here in Paradiso. If you run right on over here, you can get the other half of the Angelic Hymns Gold LP for Fantasy Impromptu, which means that we'll be able to get our next weapon, which I also will not be using frequently. It is definitely going to get use in one Alfheim, and then probably never again. Because that's just the way I roll. Also, there is an Alfheim all the way over here that we want to be heading to, so let's go there. The music in the caves back there was Subterranean Caves, and the music here is Paradiso, Paradise of Light. Which is quite nice. It's very chill. Now, in Alfheims like this, there is an item that you can get called the Evil Harvest Rosary. I don't know whether I have... can't remember whether I've purchased it yet. But basically what it does is, particularly when you can't use Witch Time, or when it would seem... Well, basically what it does is it creates a bomb that will explode when you activate Witch Time, but you can't. Because basically what it does is it means that you can't activate Witch Time anyway. It is a great way for causing lots of murder, and is very, very, very helpful in the ultra hard optional boss for the game. It's also very helpful in non-stop infinite climax mode, because in that mode Witch Time is permanently disabled. So you just gotta make sure you keep an eye on that.
You want to touch me?
Now, the thing that I find kind of quite awesome about Bayonetta is the fact that it manages to be very decent length for a single player run. I mean, it's gonna take you probably anywhere between 8 to 12 hours, depending on your skill level. But then after that, you've got, well, depending on your skill level and how much content you were actually participating, because you can beat the game in under 3 hours. In fact, to get one of the weapons, I believe it's weapons called Bazillions, you do have to complete normal mode in under 3 hours. Basically, that's more the total time spent in verses than anything else. And I will be showing off those weapons, well, those guns, but I will not be doing Bayonetta in under 3 hours, because basically to do that, it's very helpful if you have beaten easy mode first, because then you can get all the weapons and all the extra techniques, which can seriously speed up progress. It means you can skip more verses and so on. But yeah. Now this is a nice little thing which isn't really used that much. I mean, it's literally used here and in the next verse, and that's it. It is never used again. And that is a thing that kind of does tend to happen in Bayonetta, is that there is a kind of gameplay mechanic that is picked up for a little bit and then dropped. So you've got the hourglass, you've got There's 2 chapters that have got a specific gimmick to them, which is only ever used there. Got another level which has got a gimmick. It's okay. But it just happens anyway. Oh, I love Fantasy Impromptu. In fact, I love most of Chopin's stuff. It's just very beautiful.
This bad boy might even be hard for you to get a handle on.
So here we have Full Shadra, which is an awesome whip. That will come in handy. Largely for just the one Alfheim, but even then. Shadra is named after a serpentine dragon in Albanian folklore, also known as the Bola, which caused droughts and lived off human sacrifices. Sometimes represented as an enormous hairy woman, apparently. Which is probably why it's used in Bayonetta. Now, basically, there is a... well, this is the point where using Punch Kitch Punch is going to come in really handy. Particularly if you're using Sharaba, because you're going to be able to kill these angels a lot quicker. Annoyingly, I am a bit more, well, I'm stubborn. Like, very, very, very stubborn. And even though using Sharaba would very much help here, why would I do that? It'd just make my job easier, wouldn't it? Now, one thing I should also point out is that each weapon generally has its own punish attack. So you've seen with the Scarberfesh, she either slaps an enemy or kind of generally brutalizes them. If you have Sharaba equipped, then, if I recall correctly, she stabs them whilst they're down. And if you use, if you do it with Shadra, then she'll spank the angel multiple times with the whip. So, it's quite awesome. Also, each weapon has its own specific taunt. So, some will be... See, now I finally get Sharaba out. Should have done this to begin with. Now, called Shadra's is basically Bayonetta turns her back, looks over her shoulder to the enemy and says, "Your halo is mine." I believe Sharaba's is Bring It. There's another weapon which we'll be getting later on, in which Bayonetta kind of lies on the floor, opens her legs, and says, "Come on," which is rather common. So that is all of the Alpheims done for this chapter, which I'm quite grateful for. Basically, the Alpheims can be very, very challenging sometimes, and yeah, that they can be pretty rough. Now, you're about to hit a missable verse here. Basically what you need to do is, you need to start attacking the enemies whilst you're on the bridge, and then get to the other side as quickly as possible so that you don't get hit by that. Otherwise, you will get instantly killed. So if you just kind of get to this bit, then you're going to be okay. So, that is, if I recall correctly, actually the last verse of the chapter. So it's just a straight run to the end, isn't it? No, it's not. Gotta go quickly here. And this is where we start to get the quick time, which is quick time event that's a lot nicer. Where it's literally just jump. And it's not that you have a particularly long time to press the button. But the game gives you a much kind of... It gives you the button to press when it wants you to press it, rather than having the timing be rather weird. That's something that I've noticed with a lot of quick time events in games. The timing is sometimes really, really weird. So one major example is the Tomb Raider 2013 reboot. The quick time events in that were really weirdly timed. Even more so than Bayonetta's are. But yeah, we are pretty much at the end of the chapter now. We've just got to head up this wonderfully moonlit funnel and grab another Umbran resting place, another Antonio's Notes, and another Umbran Tears of Blood, and after that we are done. We'll be ready to take on the first boss of the game. Oh yeah! Now this is a cheekily hidden little chest with an Umbran Witch Heart. Well, broken Witch Heart, I should say. And that ups our health, which is very, very nice. Always nice to have a bit more health. Oh no dear, you can see the burning city from here. It's very sad. The old Colosseum. In Vigrid's long protracted history, there was once an enormous Colosseum built facing the sea. It remains today largely intact. According to record, the Colosseum was used not for martial contests or other games, but as an altar for the worship of one of the era's gods, a being known as Fortitudo. Even today, as the urban functions of the city move to Isla del Sol, the Colosseum holds a special place in the religious belief of those who worship the Laguna. Even though the winds of time have long since destroyed the road leading to the structure, forcing a treacherous passage through the cliffs. The stream of those making a pilgrimage to the Colosseum is endless. So, finally, we have the name of our wonderful evil fire-breathing angel dragon, Fortitudo. So, the songs in which Fortitudo has previously appeared are Fortitudo in Labours and Dangers, Movement 1. Fortitudo Appears, Conversation with Fortitudo, and that's it for now. I believe the song playing right now is God Sings. Either A or B, I'm not really sure. There's two God Sings song. I'm not sure which is which. But either way. That's the burning ground done! Oh yeah! That was a spectacular run, blimey heck.
I should have been a pole dancer.
Only one gold, I'm very proud of that. Especially considering how badly a run of the burning ground has very recently gone for me. Basically, in trying to get everything for this walkthrough, I'm having to play through the game again, and the burning ground did not go well, let's put it that way. Anyway, more angel attack, and then we can move on to the next chapter, which is going to be awesome, I can tell you that right now. Oh. Hoped I was going to do a bit better, but clearly not. Oh well. Let's head on in to the Colosseum. Seen on the map as the Observatory Colosseum, for some bizarre reason. And begin the cardinal virtue of fortitude.